All right, Denver with OBS Solutions, and we are gonna do this video. Why? Well, because we feel like there's a lot of misinformation about drum brakes. Some people say, oh, they suck, just do disc brake conversion, or some people are like, I'm scared of drum brakes, they're so like scary to do. They're really not that difficult. Over the years, we've developed some tips and tricks. There you go, Kenny. And so we're gonna give you guys what we've learned, and you know, maybe like shed some light on these poverty brakes, as Ron would call them. Big thanks to our Wilson's Napa, by the way. We love Napa parts. I believe in them. They're about the only ones I could find that have great shoes that are still riveted, not bonded. We'll talk about that later. We got the full meal deal kit here, and you're gonna ask yourself, well, why would I need all these pieces? Because these trucks are over, what, 30 years old, Kenny? What's your brick nose?
Older than that.
Exactly. And so if you're in there, you might as well replace everything so it's brand new. Let's get started. Oh, Kenny did mention this. Devin, what axle is this? This axle is our legendary Sterling 10 1/4. You find it in our 1-ton trucks, our 3/4 ton trucks, but you won't find it in our 1/2-ton trucks. So don't stress though. The concept of drum brakes, pretty much all the same. But that being said, I want to tell you guys something. Anytime I do disc brakes or drum brakes, I always do one side at a time. The reason being, if I mess up and like I misplace a spring, don't understand how this is working, maybe I want to double check something, I go to the other side and I look at it. So don't ever do both at the same time. Do one at a time. Like I said, I do it with disc brakes and drum brakes. Tools we're gonna need? Well, need that tool. Oh, we're not gonna need any of those tools. I'm just joking. We just need some simple hand tools. Stuff you can probably even get off of Amazon. What do we have here? You need a ratchet. You need a ratchet for a socket. A 7/16 and a 1/2 inch. We also need a couple screwdrivers. I got the big guy, medium rare guy, and a smaller screwdriver.
That's more than 2, Devin.
Oh, that's not a screwdriver, it's a pry bar. We hope we don't need that. You also need a tubing wrench. Why a tubing wrench, Kenny?
Wait, what's a tubing wrench?
Well, a tubing wrench has a special head on it, and the reason being is it helps not round out that flared nut that, you know, connects the brake line to the wheel cylinder.
That's a bad day.
It was a bad day. You will need one of these. They're very handy. They're specially made for our Ford OBS Sterling style drum brakes.
Who makes that?
Well, this one's made by Snap-on. I give you the part number, but
what is
yeah.
it? Let me see it.
There you go.
Part number?
Yeah. You see that?
Not really, but
you can look it up on the internet. You also need a brake adjust tool, which you could use a screwdriver for as well, but I'm bougie and I love using this little tool. You'll need a scrub brush of any sort. Don't use your toothbrush though.
Is that for after you're done?
Kinda. Brake grease, big one. You will need this. You can get it in your local Napa all day long.
What kind of grease is that?
It's brake grease, it says it. Caliper and brake grease. Now there's a difference here. This stuff does not wash off and it's very heavy duty. You'll need some brake clean. And I like to use a dead blow hammer. And I'll show you why. You may not always need a dead blow hammer, but it is handy for what I'm about to show you. Okay, let's check out parts real quick. I've learned this one. Before I tear anything apart, I learned this the hard way actually, I always check our parts and double check that I got everything, that they weren't misboxed or messed up or broken. Or cores, I've had that where you get a core in a new box. Wheel cylinders, got 2 brand new wheel cylinders. I better open them, make sure, obviously, I just told you guys.
Are those left and a right?
They are a left and a right, and you want to double check that because it's a real pain in the ass when you put the wrong side on and you realize the brake line is in the wrong spot. Hardware kits. This is one that we'll put once we get the springs off and double check. That's our adjuster and our adjuster cable. Next one is going to be all of our spring retainers. Oh, it's a whole bag of them, Kenny. Look at that. All that guy. Our shoes. Now, I said it once, I'll say it again. I hate bonded shoes. And the reason being, there's 2 ways to fasten shoe lining to a brake shoe. And bonded shoes, what happens is as they heat up over time, the glue that they use to bond the brake material to the steel surface, it'll come apart. And then you have a shoe lining floating around in there. It's a real bummer when that binds up. These are riveted shoes. They actually rivet our brake lining onto the backing. And that's the way to do it. They last forever. Really cool. And last but not least, drums. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, drums, well, we're finding out that a lot of our drums that we get from overseas, which is 90% of them, sometimes aren't all the way around. They're out of turn, they're out around, and you have to sometimes double check that this surface is good to go. Meaning, what happens is we've got these before, we go to install them, we go to adjust them, and find that they have high and low spots in them, which sucks because then you have to have them turned. So double check that. How do I double check that? Well, easy one is you can use the giant vernier calipers, which a lot of people don't have. A simple way to do it is actually throw them on after you're done, throw them on there with the new shoes, run it around by hand, and figure out if they're binding. You will need to throw a couple of lug nuts on there so it is tight against the drum.
Against the drum?
Oh, the hub, that's right.
A lot of stuff, Devin.
Oh, yes, it is, Kenny. But you know what really sucks is when you have to get back in there after you don't replace the hardware and do it again. It's really not that much money for a hardware kit, and it's not that big a deal. Wheel cylinders, shoes, drums, yes, they add up, but for pennies on the dollar for having to get back in here, and you have to realize these springs that have been on there holding all this together have been there for 25 to 30 years, and Kenny, in your case, what? You're getting close to 40 years on that lovely brick nose, so really, it's just, when you're gonna go do something, do it right, and it's not that big a deal to spend extra dollars on hardware stuff. Okay, sometimes getting the drums off is the biggest pain in the ass on our drum brakes for our OBS Fords. One, because they've been probably sitting forever, or they've just been there forever. Two, maybe you live in the rust belt and your drum to the hub surface is rusted on, something like that. How we do it is I'll just shock the drum is what we call it. I'll take the dead blow like this guy, kind of hit on both sides, hit on the face, kind of get to move a little bit, and that's what we call shocking it. Now you can use a normal hammer. You can even use like a claw hammer if you have to. Tap around there, same thing, get it to bounce and move. The one thing I stressed you don't do, don't ever stick a screwdriver between the drum and the backing plate. Ask me why, Kenny.
Why, Kenny?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, here we go. The reason being is you'll bend the backing plate, especially on our half-ton trucks. It bends actually easier than you think. Then the shoe won't sit correctly on the backing plate. You'll have all kinds of brake problems. One more thing, we find this on trucks that maybe someone has done brakes on and they haven't turned the drums or replaced the drums. Get in here, Kenny. You can see this right here. You see how you have a polished area and then a rough area? This truck actually looks like it had a brake job at one point and there's no lip. What happens is the truck is driven for a long period of time, the brakes wear to this drum, you'll get a lip on the outside. Well, what sucks is you go to pull the drum off and that shoe is kind of inside that lip and it will not come off. And you have to like fight. You'll try to get a screwdriver in there, try to beat it off there. I said beat it off, get it? That is a bad day, and we'll show you how to alleviate that.
So, what if I can't beat it off? Get it off.
You can't take the drum off?
Yeah.
Well, let's first start and talk about how do drum brakes work so you understand how to, mess with this adjuster to do that job. Drum brakes work by a wheel cylinder using hydraulic fluid, brake fluid, pushing out on the two shoes, and then the primary shoe, which is always the smaller shoe. I don't know why. Ask me why.
Because it's in the front, Devin.
There you go. And our secondary shoe, which is in the rear, because our drum is going this way, it forces them out and causes them to bind to the drum. I guess that's the best way I can explain it.
It's friction, baby.
There you go. But here's where it gets a little tricky. Drum brakes need to be adjusted. They're not like a brake caliper or disc brakes, so to speak. As a drum brake wears, there has to be some space taken up, because if not, you'd have to pump the brakes for the shoes to expand to make contact. So how they do it is with self-adjusters. Self-adjusters. We're going to say that because people think self-adjusters really do self-adjust.
Yeah, you just back up really fast and hit the brakes.
That's in theory. Now, it does kind of work from time to time, but not when you have a brand new set of shoes and drums. You can't just like go back up to get them adjusted. That's not the right way to do it, and we'll touch on that in a bit. But I want to talk about the self-adjusters and how this works. Get in here, Kenny. I'm going to switch you sides. Come around here.
I would say a self-adjuster is like a fine adjustment.
There you go. I like that. So how a self-adjuster works is when you go in reverse, like Kenny says, it throws the shoe in a backwards direction. That pulls this cable, which then operates that arm, which then turns the little teeth, which then moves the self-adjuster like so.
Which way does it move the shoes? Out?
Out. It's forcing the bottom of the shoes out, and that will keep the shoes snug to the drum in theory. And at most time it works. We don't see a lot of problems with shoes that are properly adjusted when they're all ready to go and everything's brand new. We never see them back for that. But if you, let's say you don't get these set from when you're done with a brake job, you're gonna always have a real low pedal. You're gonna have to pump the brakes up for it to feel good. You're gonna think it's an air situation. 99% of the time, it's because your shoes are not properly adjusted to your new drums.
Or
What?
one of your self-adjuster components is missing or broken.
Or backwards.
Yeah, back.
Or someone put it in backwards, that one happens. But the reason why I want to talk about self-adjusters is, let's say we had that lip on our drum and we can't get the drum off because that lip is behind the shoe. That's when a skinny little screwdriver comes in very handy. And the reason being is I want to pop the inspection plug out. It's also our adjuster plug. It comes through, you can see it, hello. And what we do here, this is usually, what we use this for is adjusting the self-adjuster when we're done with brakes. And you can only go one way. See how it's binding on that, Kenny?
Oh yeah.
You got that? So technically you want to go this way to have the adjuster go out to take up the slack on our shoes.
Clicking means making them tighter.
Correct. The shoes are going out at the bottom. Now here's the bummer part. If your drum can't come off, you can't get to that self-adjuster. So the old man always taught me, you take a skinny screwdriver and we're just gonna poke this arm out, and now I can run, if I can do this with two hands without seeing, I can run the adjuster any which way I want to loosen it up or tighten it up. Now, I wanna loosen it up so the shoes come closer together, therefore having space for the drum to come off. So if you find that the drum still won't come off, dude, don't stress. Don't get the pry bar out, don't pry on it. Loosen the self-adjuster up, take the slack out of it, the shoes will come together and let you slide that drum off. Time for the meat and potatoes. Let's take this apart. Real quick though, we're gonna do this so you're not using a ton of force to pull this apart, because what happens when you use a ton of force, you're prying on stuff, it slips, you skin your knuckles, you break your fingers, all that lovely stuff. We don't operate that way. I've learned that multiple times. We're gonna do it easy peasy, so check this out. Kenny, get in here and check this out. There's a spider. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the adjuster out. And easy, what I do is I just put this screwdriver against the back of the hub and the shoe. I'll pull it apart, drops out. Now, no, don't go anywhere, Kenny.
More?
Yep, and now, if you see how the cable attaches here, how our self-adjust cable, it just hooks, and I'm gonna loosen that guy up right there. Now, I will pull this out of the way, because I don't want any drama. Then, I'll push this together, and if we're filming something, it's not gonna work, and I'll pull this guy out, which is not gonna cooperate because I'm obviously shooting. Get that guy out of there, not a big deal there. Now here's an important step. We're gonna talk about our e-brake lever. Some people will pull the whole hub off the axle and to gain access to our shoes. On a full floating axle, it is kind of a pain because you have this whole hub in your way. Semi-floating, you don't have that. You pull the drum off, it's all there. I don't like to do that. It's a time-consuming deal, resetting the bearings. So what I do is I pull this arm, our parking brake arm, and how our parking brake arm works is when you apply the parking brake, it pulls the cable, it uses mechanical force, and if you look right here, it's gonna use a cam and it's gonna open up these two shoes. You see that? That's important to let you guys know because when we go back together, there's a couple things I want you to learn about that. So I'm gonna get this guy out of there. We don't need it there, it's in the way, and it makes life really easy. Now, it's just use a 7/16. You pull the nut off the back. Now, it's a shaft that runs through and they serrated it. So you have to kind of walk it out of there. So as I do this, we're almost done. This is where you fast forward the video, Kenny, is that? Okay, got a nut there. Oh, by the way, make sure you save your parts. We're gonna match them up. Okay, now, the two screwdrivers I told you about, these two guys, Cheech and Chong. I'm gonna put them down here against the hard surface of our parking brake arm.
Move your arm.
There, how's that?
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you. And I'm just gonna walk it out real easy because, like I said, I don't know if you can see that, Kenny. See how they serrate these edges here? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't just come out easy and people get frustrated. I've had techs kind of like get all pissed off and try to beat it off of there. I said it again. That's what you don't want to do. Oh, and pay attention here. Our parking brake or our self-adjust cable runs through this area of our spring and our retainer clip. So make sure that, and that's why, another reason why you want to just do one side at a time, because you can go and go, hey, how'd that work? Did it go on the outside or the inside? You just go over there and look at the other one. So like I said, we do one side at a time. Okay, killer, we're halfway there. This is where it's really simple. I do not use force to get this big spring off of here. That's a pain in the ass, takes a ton of, well, brute force and pliers and stuff. I won't roll that way. That's when this tool comes in handy. Part number 21586. Kenny will put the link in there somewhere, right, Kenny?
Just call your Snap-on guy.
Okay, and I'm sure you can get it from. This is pretty cool. So you just go in here. Can you see that?
Nope, I can't see that because you're in the way, Devin.
How's that? See how that works?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay. Now I got this. So my hand's in the way here, but I'll just on the back side. Come over here, Kenny. On the back side, I'll manipulate it with the back. Move the pin with my fingers back here.
Back here?
Yes. That way you can easily like get it loose and not get your fingers in the way. Okay. Then I'll take this guy off. How's that?
Pretty good.
Okay. I'm gonna keep that guy here. I'm gonna take the keeper out so I don't lose that. And I've done this enough, but if it's a brake set I've never done before, I'll make sure I keep a right and a left, or a front and back.
Oh, I see it. That was
See it?
better on this side.
See that? It just goes, and then you just take your finger and kind of get it hooked in there, or unhooked. Okay. Now remember I said I don't want to force this spring off of there because it's a lot of tension. So what I'll do is I'll just pull this guy off. And I'll pull this guy off here. I'll take this guy and I'll take it like this. I'll lay it right here. And there we go. All right, Kenny said the lighting was really poor, and I don't want to have like a crappy video illustrating how you take this off with this said tool here. So get down here, Kenny, let's see this. Our spring was like this guy. These things are rusty. This axle must have came from the coast or something. And then our retainer pin or clip or hook was like this on the back side, right? And it was like hooked in like this. So you take this guy like this, you force it down, pull that guy out, and you pull your spring out. Just same thing on both sides. This guy is a little bit difficult. The hub's in your way, but you can get it. Same thing, you guys. I hope you guys, that explains how you get these off, because I know people have used like channel locks and pliers and screwdrivers. This saves your knuckles and a lot of headache. Okay, brake shoes are off. Let's talk about a wheel cylinder. How's it work? Well, I'm gonna show you guys, but let's first get it off the backing plate. I first removed the dinosaur arms. What do you call them, Kenny?
I think it's the link.
Oh, I like dinosaur arms. But technically they are the link. It's what connects the piston to our brake shoes. And I'll put them there, make sure they're not gonna go anywhere. Now, remember that tubing wrench? What do I do with that, Kenny? Thank you, sir. Now you call it a what?
I call it a flare nut wrench.
Tomato, tomato, I like it. But here's what is cool about that. Get around here, Kenny. You notice how it goes all the way around the head of that, what do you call that? Can you call that a flare nut?
Flare nut?
There we go.
Maybe that's why it's a flare.
Oh, not a tubing nut. That makes sense.
Yeah, we're not plumbers.
No, it's true. Okay, I already took this off, but I'm gonna tell you guys right now, a lot of times these seize. And the reason is because they get a bunch of crap in between the nut and the pipe or tube, if you will, sorry. And it's a pain in the ass. One thing we've noticed is you give it a little bit of heat, not too much. So grab your crack torch, heat that sucker up, don't like melt it, give it some love, and walk it off there. A lot of times we'll throw some penetrating oil on it. Once it's warm, that penetrating oil will seep into the threads, get in there, loosen it up. If not, sometimes you have to cut these guys and do some new tubing, if you will. Now, I've already taken that off. I've already loosened these 2 1/2 inchers off. I'll show you. They're already loose. We're gonna pull this guy off. And it used to be back in the day, Kenny, we'd have to rebuild these. They didn't have new wheel cylinders. We're always rebuilding them. So I'm gonna show you how a wheel cylinder works.
Back in my day.
Pretty much. Now, wheel cylinders are simple. You have a dust boot. Oh, look at that. That's been there a while. 2 dust boots. That's all they do is keep the dust and debris out of. Whoa, Kenny, it shot all over you. Oh man, I don't know if there we go. So we've got 2 pistons.
That thing is older than Santa Claus.
Right, check that out. All right, look at that guy. Ooh, she's seen better days. How this works, we have.
Hold on, let me get in here.
Get in here, you wanna see this?
Shit, stuff is everywhere.
You like that? Okay, so we have 2 pistons, both like this. Can you see this, Kenny?
Oh man, this is
good stuff.
Beautiful.
Then we have our cups, and what that does, and we have our spring, and how it works is our fluid gets up against these 2 rubber cups and pushes Now here's one thing I've learned the hard way. My dad always taught me, don't ever get the cups the wrong way. You want the cups so the fluid actually pushes against them and forces the seal against the cylinder wall. If that makes sense to everyone, nod your head if you understand. Okay, and then as the fluid pushes out, it's gonna push these pistons out, and they have a dish in them, and that's where I'm gonna call them the dinosaur arms went in. You're gonna call them? Links. And so how it looks, if everything were to be right, envision the, here, let's go over here, Kenny. Let's just walk over here, come on.
Let's just make a mess everywhere.
Yeah, let's make a mess over here, come on. Let's just put it right here. So you have these components like this, okay? Oh, and don't get brake fluid on your new shoes.
It just wants to be there.
Okay, then you have these two cups, and they're gonna go like so. Our fluid's gonna come in to the bore of our, there we go, wheel cylinder, that guy, and the fluid's going to rapidly go in. It's going to want to expand these cups, and then as it does that, the rubber of the cups expand against the cylinder, the wheel cylinder, the board, if you will, expand it, and start pushing out our pistons. Got that, Kenny? Did I do a good enough job illustrating?
Oh, yeah.
But you don't have to worry about that, because nowadays you just get brand new wheel cylinders. You don't have to deal with rebuilding them like we did. You have to hone them out.
I wouldn't even have taken that one off. I mean, 30 years old, it looked pretty nice to me.
That's a classic, been there forever wheel cylinder. Oh, and one thing, check your wheel cylinders to make sure there's a right and a left. Notice how our brake line comes from this side, not this side. So you don't want to put the wrong side on there, and then your brake line won't line up. And if you are doing brake calipers, let's say we're doing the fronts, and your bleeder, it should always be at the top, not the bottom, because air will get trapped up top and you'll never get it out of there. Okay, let's check our parts. Like I said, man, I've screwed this up many a times, get in a rush, start blazing away, and then go, uh-oh, that's the wrong part, or I put it on the wrong side. I'm gonna give you a little illustration. Wheel cylinders, I always like eyeball, make sure, back in the day we have to use a veneer caliper, check the bore. It's not really that complicated. You can actually just hold it up and look, we've got the line goes on the hole for the line goes there. We've got everything looks spaced out correctly. It's really not that difficult, but just use your eyes and check. The other thing I always double check, big one, self-adjuster. Make sure you got the correct side. There's a right and a left. One side threads differently than the other side. So I always make sure, I'll thread this one out. Which way does it go? I'll double check with my old one. I'll do the same. Yay, common sense wins. Springs, this is a big one. Double check you got the right length springs and the right style of springs, because it sucks when you don't. And so I just do the same thing. I'll lay it up there. Same thing with this guy. Lay it up there. Oh my gosh. Our hold downs, I'll double check them as well. Really a lot of common sense. Our cable, I'll actually check the length on that. We'll just, because that is not a good time when you get that wrong, because your self-adjust doesn't work. Sweetness, very simple. Oh, real quick. You'll notice these guys, it's our cable guide, right? This is what I love about Napa Premium line. Your shoes already come with them installed. This is a pain in the butt because you have to swedge this and you have to swedge the stud in for our adjuster arm. The Premium line comes ready to rock and roll. Another thing about brake shoes on our full floater Sterlings. Kenny, do you notice how you have an extra piece of metal up here? See that? Make sure you have that facing out. Easy peasy way is just look what you have here and mimic it, because you can have these backwards. You can put the wrong side in, and the flat side, you need to have that bump out. So pay attention when you go to put your shoes on that it looks just like this. Now it's time to clean the backing plate. Let's get the backing plate cleaned up. We don't want to put all that new hardware on this dusty, dirty, nasty backing plate. A little brake clean, or a lot of brake clean. Get that guy down. Woo! He's on fire now, Kenny. Now let's take this scrub brush. Look at that, starting to look good already. Re-rinse it. I'll get the parking brake cable and the arm. Probably should be wearing safety glasses, but I won't tell OSHA if you won't. Brake clean's always good for the contacts. There we go. I'm also, after this dries, of course, I'm also gonna see these high spots here that have serrated edges on it. That's where our brake shoes ride and land. That's where we're gonna apply that brake grease. So, abracadabra.
Hey, Devin.
Yep.
Look at that.
Oh, it's fancy.
Wheel seal isn't leaking anymore.
Now it's fixed. I will take some of this said brake grease and I will put it on these areas of contact, like this, and like that. As it dries, we'll fast forward a couple minutes and let it dry out. Okay, I want to show you guys how I replace the self-adjust cable. If it was a half-ton truck, or half-ton axle, our semi-floaters, it's very easy to get it off of there. But our full floaters, our Sterlings, are a little bit of a pain in the butt. First thing I do is I grab the nut that came off the stud for our parking brake arm. I'll thread it on there till it stops. I forgot to tell you, you gotta have this hammer, or one like it, or actually I'm lying to you, just need another hammer. This though, if this whole shop burns down, if like it's on fire, Kenny, this is what I save for this guy right here. This has like sentimental, this is the hammer of hammers. My dad gave this to me. It's the shit. Mac made it back in the day. I think you still get them.
Who's Mac?
Oh, he's the guy that drives that truck. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I don't want you guys to like give it the onion and beat the crap out of this. It's swedged in here as well. All you do is tap it.
Gotta tap it, Devin.
There we go, for the win. And you drive that guy through. Now I'm gonna take it off here. I'm gonna make sure I don't lose that on camera. Put it right here. And then I'm gonna pull this guy out. Just like so. Don't forget that word spring. How goofy is that? Okay, then I'm gonna take this guy. I'm gonna pop that apart. I lied to you, need a little screwdriver too. I just hold on the stud like that. And I drive it out. Ugh, voila, apart. So this goes in here. You guys get this? This goes in here. And then this goes through here. And don't fret, you don't have to smack this guy in. When you go to put this all back together, that's when you give this little hammer, tap that sucker through, and you pull it in with the nut. Very simple. Okay, wheel cylinders installed. You see we've got little dinosaur arms installed. I mean, that's what I'm gonna call them from now on. Our backing plates cleaned up with grease on all of our contact points. We have our self-adjust cable ready to rock and roll. And let's go over our shoes. I told you guys, make sure that your shoes look identical. Make sure your primary and secondary are, what are you doing, Kenny?
Checking my shoes.
No, these shoes. Oh. Okay, so here's how I do this. Everyone may do stuff differently. Here's how I roll. Obviously, we checked our springs. I'll install this just like I see it here. I won't install this spring right here. I'll wait on that guy. I will do our adjust arm. This is really simple. It's actually kind of fun to do. I mean, if you like the game Mousetrap, this is all for you people. Actually, I go like this, pull like there. I'll take that guy, and I'll double check it. Yay, it works. Then, this is where the magic happens, Kenny. Pay attention. I will take this guy, and I'll put one of what I call the dinosaur arm there. And this guy. Now they're gonna try to fight you, but that's all right. We don't care about that, okay? This is the part where people kind of freak out, and I have in the past. Check this out, Kenny. You notice how our shoes are like, we're gonna fight these guys. They're gonna be all over the place. Do not stress. Here's where it gets real simple. We're gonna put our retainers on here, our springs and our keepers or retainers, whatever you wanna call them. Okay, got that? We're gonna do one at a time. Some people try to force them on there and try to fight it. Don't, you're gonna waste your time and energy. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get this guy going through here, like this, and I'll hold it, because trying to wrestle this is a real pain in the butt. So I'm gonna hold on the backside. Can you get in the back here, what I do here?
I was just there.
Okay, well then just stay there. Then I'm gonna put this guy in, like so. Can you see that, Kenny?
Oh, I can kind of see it.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna get that lovely tool I told you guys about. And sometimes, like this time, you gotta reverse it, like this. Now, I'll put my hand on the back side. That way I can manipulate the keeper, or there we go. Easy. And then I can work on the other one. That way I'm not trying to hold both of them and like, hey, have a friend come over there. So I'll put the other one on and then we're gonna go to the next step. Ooh, was it this hole or this hole? Ooh, I can't remember, Kenny. Ooh, let me go check here. Oh yeah, okay. Hence why I tell you guys, do one side at a time. If you forget, you can always double check. I know this is gonna be in your way, Kenny, but I don't give a shit. Okay, I'll go like this. I'll put it in the primary shoe, and then I will pull it like this. And if you're really good, you can pull these together like so, and you don't have to use a pair of pliers or anything like that. And you hook it to here, and then you're gonna bring up the parking brake arm and button that and just hang it there temporarily, and I'll show you the next step. Let's do a drum how-to video. Whose idea was this? Oh, okay, now it's time for us to get our e-brake arm attached. But before I do that, you can see I actually got this lower spring attached. You can use a pair of needle nose pliers if you really don't want to, but a lot of times you just push the shoes together and hook it up. Important note, everyone, before you shove this e-brake arm back through the backing plate, important, make sure you thread the e-brake cable through the keeper. Remember, check the other side as a reference. Through that keeper, and if I had a good thumb, this is when the small fingers were handy. There you go. I'm gonna run that guy around, easy peasy, and I'm just gonna let it hang out. We're not in a hurry here. I'm not gonna need anything serious here. Now I will take and put my parking brake arm on. Now, here's where you gotta pay attention. I wanna show this. Kenny, can you get up here and look at this real quick? So remember how we said that stud was, or that the stud that goes through and holds our parking brake all together, how it's serrated? It's not just gonna slip in easy. You have to tap that sucker in there. But important note, one thing I see guys do, happens a lot, is they'll get the cam up against the shoe and they're trying to drive it in there and it won't go. So, and also you wanna make sure that your self-adjust cable is at a level, or what do you call it, parallel, Kenny, if you will?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna hold that up. I'm gonna might need a bigger guy for that. All we're doing is we're getting it set for the serrated edges. As long as the stud is through, get back there, Kenny. Now you can put the nut on there and suck it all together. And like I said, it's not a very big stud that comes through there, so you don't need to give it the onion. I like to use a 1/4 inch ratchet. That way I know that I'm not overpowering it. So I'll just tighten this guy up. And you know it's seated when you see this guy come kind of sandwich everything together. And yeah, so you'll feel it as well. It'll, if you know lefty loosey righty tighty and you know what something feels like when it's tight. There you go. That guy's good. Now I will come down to the bottom here. Now, one thing I want to show you guys is that our parking brake, or our self-adjust cable needs to land on this little tiny guide right here. You see that, Kenny? Mm-hmm. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of thread this guy through there, and you don't have to stress on it and go, I didn't get it in there. You can just run it, get it set with your fingers, like so, and then we'll talk about the self-adjuster next. Self-adjuster time. Now, people, there's a left and a right. And you have to pay attention to this because it would suck if you got them backwards. It's easy. One threads out normal, the other one threads out the opposite direction. Double check that. Before you do this, this sucker shows up with no grease on it. Why? I don't know. But you're gonna take this apart. If Kenny was good, he'd speed this up so you guys didn't have to sit through this or watch this. But I will pull it all the way apart. Today, I will put our brake caliper, brake grease on here. I'll thread this on, and just sake so you don't bore you guys, I'll also put some on the contact point, and now we'll install it. We're gonna install our self-adjuster, obviously. I already talked about that enough, but before I do that, I wanna show you guys, I've already installed this cable, so you didn't see me fumble, mess around with it. I didn't cuss Kenny like that. Make sure that your self-adjust cable, like I said, is still attached, or still routed around our little guide there. Don't forget that. It's kind of important. This is easy. It's not that complicated. You need to get the shoe, the nubbin of the shoe. First, I start with this side. This side obviously has a little cross. Can you see that, Kenny?
Yeah.
Okay. That needs to be locked in. It can't be not sitting in there 100%. That would be a bad day.
Why?
Well, because it'd probably pop out while you're driving down the road, get caught up in the drum, and destroy all your hard work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to put this guy in here. This is when our screwdriver comes back in handy. I'm going to go against the hub. I'm going to pull it out. I kind of miss doing drum brakes. Kenny, can you get in here and show people what I'm talking about? Can you think you can do that for me there, Mr. Video Guy?
I'm not much of a video guy.
See how, can you get that right there? See how it needs to lock into one of those spots? Does that make sense, Mr. Bucket?
Yep.
Okay, and the same thing over on the other side. It needs to lock in there. Now, how I double check that I did all my homework right, I'll hit this guy, make sure everything's locked in. I'm just self-seating these guys. Then, can he stay there? I'm gonna run around the other side. I'm gonna run the cable and make sure that my self-adjuster is actually doing its job. And it's real simple. I'll use the cable. I don't know if you can see my hand here, Mr. Bucket.
I can
tell?
find it.
Okay. All I'm doing is I'm portraying that the cable is getting tension on it and doing its job. And that's it. That's everything installed. The last part we're gonna do is show you guys how to adjust your shoes to your drums. That can be a little difficult. We're gonna go through that next. Now we're gonna put the drum on here and I'm gonna show you guys real quick how you can get this guy kind of fitted to your new shoes. It's not that complicated. Before you put your new drum or surface drum onto your shoes, I always brake clean, use some brake clean and clean out the inside of that guy so it doesn't have any, a lot of our drums come with Cosmoline on them. You don't want that on your shoes. Oh, and by the way, you do not want brake fluid on your shoes. I don't know if I told you guys that, but I'm telling you now, so that makes it official. I cheated, by the way, for the sense of Kenny and I getting home on time. I used an old school 1930s, 50s, whatever it was, to size this guy and then to size my shoes to make sure that they're at the right distance.
I'm not going to look at that because you didn't tell me what it's called.
I don't know what it's called, a shoe sizer? I'm going to call it a shoe sizer.
I thought you had a name like a something caliper.
No, that's not a veneer caliper, Kenny. Anyway, so all you guys need to do is realize this. We want to make sure that our shoes are adjusted to the point where they're just barely making contact on our drum. Now, full floater axles can be a real pain in the butt because when you put it on there, you want to feel some resistance. But on a full floater, you're feeling all the resistance through the axle, which is a pain. So you have to use your best judgment. If you get them too tight, don't stress. It will build heat. Just make sure you're not, it's not smoking or causing any of that kind of stuff going on. You can always back them off, like I showed you guys how with the drum on. If your shoes aren't adjusted up enough, your pedal's probably gonna be low. And that's because your wheel cylinder is taking up the space, try to push them out, and then it retracts and pushes out again. Usually it's an indication of shoes not being adjusted properly or tight enough. So all I do, if I go to put them on a truck, make sure it's all the way on there. Hear that, Kenny? Can you get down and hear this? Hear how it's dragging and you can feel resistance. Then you can take your screwdriver, like this guy, come to the back, hear that click? All I'm doing is I'm running the self-adjuster. I'm giving it some extra tension, some more drag on the drum, and all I do is I do that to the point that I can just barely turn that drum. That's the easiest way to explain that to you guys. And if you ever have problems, don't stress. You can always, like I said, add a little more, feel how the drum feels, feel your brake pedal feels, grab it, see how much resistance you have. You want to be able for it to be like to the point where it's hard to turn. Go drive it, make sure everything's good. If you get wheel hop or anything like that, your drum might be out of round. We don't see it that often, but it's hit and miss on these newer stuff. If you have them turned and there's material left to do so on your factory drums or the ones that are on it, even better. Like I said, just take some time, make sure your adjustment is where it needs to be, because you can do all that work, and if your adjustment's like not enough, your pedal's gonna feel like crap. I think that's it, Kenny. I think we're done. I think we've done this job. I hope that informs everyone. Kenny and I aren't the best at these videos, these how-tos. We're trying real hard here. This is stuff that I have learned over the years from my dad, from working in the shop. Kenny said he actually didn't even have, he's never done a Sterling drum brakes. He just swaps them to 05 axles because he's cool. So anyway, thanks for following along. Leave some comments. Tell us what you think. Do we suck? Should we keep doing this? Well, actually, we don't even care. If you tell us we suck, we're just probably going to go drink whiskey and keep doing it anyway. So thanks, everyone. Like I said, Devin from OBS Solutions. Evening.